Hello.
Hey, hi, hello everyone. We'll just give 2 more minutes and then we'll get started.
Okay.
Hope my screen is visible, right?
This is recorded session or live session?
This is a recorded session. This will be a recorded session, but now it's a live session. It's recording. The recording is on. That's it.
Okay.
So that if someone misses this session, they can have the session, go through the session again. So that's why you see this recording is currently running. All right, so we'll get started. So hello everyone, a very warm welcome to this OCI training by Unogeeks. And it's the first session for your batch today. So we'll quickly start with the introduction part. So I'll start with my introduction and then I'll give it back to you guys so you can introduce yourself by your name and your experience and then what exactly you are looking from this particular training. So this is Hemant. I'm an OCI architect with 15 plus years of experience in top US based consultings and consulting companies and product based companies. And I have specialized in Oracle Apps DBA for most of my career. I am an EBS Apps DBA. And from last 6 years, I've been working with OCI infrastructure administration part as an implementer specialist, doing the foundation and provisioning for various Oracle services. And most of the projects which I've worked is migrating the EBS applications from on-premises to OCI or the databases from on-prem to OCI, which involves in creating all the required infrastructure on the OCI side, along with the networking and the complete architecture design on the OCI side. So that's about my introduction. So feel free to unmute yourself and just a brief introduction should be good enough.
Hi Hemant, my name is Dilip Kumar. And I was working as a SOA WebLogic admin developer, and recently I acquired knowledge from Prasad regarding OIC training, and I'm also interested uh, OCI training, which benefits me both development and admin side. That's my goal in joining this training.
Okay, thanks, Dilip.
Hi, this is Sri Harsha. So I have an year experience as .NET developer, but recently I've joined as technical consultant where my company works mostly on Oracle Fusion. So I was asked to asked to take training on Oracle Cloud Infrastructure so that I'll be working as a technical consultant in the next 3 months.
Okay, thanks, Harsha. Good to know that.
Hi, Ilangovan here.
Yeah,
Hello.
Elango. Yeah, Elango.
Yes, I'm an Oracle DBA. I have experience of 13 plus years. I want to learn OCI, so I'm interested in joining the class. I'm that's
Okay. Thanks, Langovan.
Well,
All right. So if you notice, by default, we are keeping you on mute on the sessions so that we'll not get any disturbances or any kind of background noise which can interrupt us. But if you want to have, if you have any questions during the sessions, you can raise your hand, or we can have the Q&A session at the end of each session. I'll give you 5 minutes time at the end, so we can discuss any questions during the session. So please feel free to unmute yourself if you have any questions in between, or raise the hand in the Zoom. Then I'll give you a time or a break in between for this Q&A part. And I encourage everyone to be on mute to avoid any background noises during this session. If I don't see like some noise is coming, I'll mute them as well if required. All right. So let's start with the session today. So this is a brief, we'll start with a brief overview about the cloud computing and its key advantages. So hope my screen is visible in the presentation mode. Okay. So the agenda for today's session will be, we'll start with understanding what is cloud computing and some of the key advantages of what customers are looking if they have when they are moving to the cloud. And then we will understand what is OCI and the overall global footprint of OCI. And later we'll discuss about the architecture in OCI, what is an availability domain, what is the fault domain, and then we'll look into the OCI services available in all these regions, what we call as the OCI resources. And finally, we'll look into the distributed cloud service, the new thing, new norm, which is now starting as a multi-cloud as well, right? So we'll look into some of the distributed cloud services, what all offerings Oracle is giving to their customers is what we will understand in this introduction session. So to start with, what is cloud computing is all about. So you guys might have already know this, but in simple terms, if we look into what is cloud computing, it's nothing but renting the infrastructure. Instead of buying the infrastructure, IT infrastructure, you are just renting that. So you are eliminating the overall cost here and the maintenance cost as well. And simply you are subscribing to the resources or taking the resources what you need. And you are in this way, you are not investing heavily on the infrastructure where you have to provision the databases and the software, hardware, and you can simply opt to access the compute power via internet and the dedicated leased lines between the cloud computing data centers and your on-premises. And simply you are paying for what you are using it. You are not paying for other things. In this case, in on-premises, when you have your own data center, you need to set up the power, the cooling thing for your data center. So there are many things which you have to do if you own all this infrastructure at your end. So instead of you owning them, if you just rent them and keep them with some provider who is providing these services to you, It will make your life easy and it will reduce the overall cost. As a customer, it will be a very better deal for you. So that's where the customers are more inclined towards moving to the cloud these days. You don't have to even maintain these service servers, right? Every now and then, like after down the line, 6 years, 7 years, there will be a new series. There will be new processor will be released, and you have to keep upgrading them if you are owning this infrastructure, or you have to discard the old infrastructure and you have to buy again new infrastructure. So to avoid all these issues, now you see the cloud and customers are very beneficial with that and they are ready to move to the cloud. And they are also getting the services like all the services like servers, storage, database, networking, software, analytics, and BI. So customers don't have any issues to move to the cloud as well because they are getting all the services which they need to run their workloads seamlessly what they are running in the on-premises. Along with that, cloud computing is also providing the speed, scalability, and flexibility, which enables the business to develop, innovate, and support the business IT solutions. So you have speed, you have scalability. As you wish, you can increase the CPUs, decrease the CPUs. It's all flexibility is also there, which will help you in developing the things more easily and better way and with more accuracy and fast. So some of the key cloud computing service providers here you see you have Amazon AWS, you have Oracle OCI, and Microsoft Azure, and then you have Google, which is GCP, Google Cloud Provider. So these are the some of the top cloud computing service providers to the customers, which they offer these services like servers. The services can be storage, they can be database, network, software, and any of these services. Now, as per your requirement, you will be selecting if you are interested in moving to the cloud as a customer, as you understood that maintaining these infrastructure, completely owning them and keeping them in our data centers, it's an additional burden to us. And if you compare the overall cost with what you are getting on the cloud, and what you are getting on your on-prem, if you are owning the things, and then you make the decision, yes, I'll make a move to cloud, then you have these service providers like Amazon, OCI. According to your workloads, then you will be moving to one of these service providers. So if you are more into the databases and you already have Oracle databases, then it will be better for you to move to Oracle cloud infrastructure. Or if you have Windows machines, Windows applications, more into that, maybe you can look into the Microsoft Azure. And you can also have databases on OCI and the applications on Amazon. So that's a multi-cloud option. So in this way, you can think of and move ahead if you are ready to do the migration. So first thing is you understood what is cloud computing is all about. And if you look into some of the advantages of moving to the cloud, as we have already discussed, cost, that's the main thing. Eliminate the capital expenses. You will reduce a huge amount instead of when you are owning the things, you have maintenance and you have to discard them after 4 or 5 years and bring the new servers on board. So that's an eliminating the capital expenses. That's one of the advantage you are moving to cloud. And you have speed. Instantly you can provision the space for development and testing. Now in olden days, if you have to add additional storage, you need to get the disk procured and that has to be shipped to your systems, your on-prem, and someone will be plugging in that storage device to the operating system, and finally you'll format it and then mount it. But in cloud, it's just within matter of 2-3 minutes. If you want to add some new 10 TB of storage or whatever it is, with instantly you can provision the space as you want. So that's another advantage. Not only the storage, I've just given you an example of storage. It can be any resource. If you want to provision an EXA CS box, it will be done in a 1 day of time. But earlier, if you have to get that Exadata machine itself to your data center, it's a very big deal for you. And global scale, you can scale elastically as you have services available across different region from these cloud providers. Like all the cloud providers, what we have seen, they have multiple regions, they have data centers across different locations. So if you want to expand your business access, also like to have these servers in different locations, you can also globally scale. That option is also available. And overall productivity is increased. So increased collaboration, you are getting predictable performance and customer isolation also. So you don't I mean, even though if it is a public cloud, customer isolation and data protection is given highest priority. It is taken care. You will not have any issues with the data related compliances thing. So it is always isolated with other tenants and other customers. Even though you are in public cloud, you will not have any access to other users. So you are getting better performance for better price for all the native workloads. So productivity is increased, performance is increased. You have you can instantly provision the resources. It is reducing the cost. So all are the advantages what you see, and moreover you are also getting reliability, like the services what these providers are offering to the customers. Like OCI is particularly, they are ensuring that they are fault tolerant. They are distributed systems across multiple regions or multiple ADs, so that even if something goes wrong in one particular location, you still have the copy of the data in running in the some other region. So fully tolerant, scalable, and distributed systems across all the services. That's the reliability part. So what is cloud computing? We have understood, like, it's just in a simple terms, it's renting the infrastructure instead of buying the infrastructure and maintaining that, keeping it in our data centers, giving the cooling things like put the uh, cooling agents to keep the servers cool, and then power, maintaining them. So this is all a headache which is taken away with cloud computing, and customers are now looking into migrating their resources. The trend is already there. We have seen like last 10 years. I think more in the last 5 years, customers started migrating their resources to cloud with all these advantages which they look into. Now, what is OCI here? So OCI is a next gen cloud infrastructure which is designed with high performance. It's a cloud infrastructure which is offering few services to the customer in different ways. They have different service models, which we will look into one of the slides going forward. And this services, they have available globally in more than 41 cloud regions. Now it is almost like 50 cloud regions. They are available in different locations in different countries. And Oracle is rapidly building more new regions so that it can be reachable for all the customers for their migrations and for their usage. So they can migrate the other customers also. And OCI Next Gen architecture enables fast and on-demand provisioning of over 80 cloud services. Now, in these regions, we have more than 80 cloud services. So these are like the storage, networking, infrastructure, all these are individual services. And similar services, you have more than 80, and you can enable and you can have on-demand provisioning of these services whenever you want. You can go and do the provisioning. You don't need to give them any heads up like, hey, I want to do this provisioning and keep this service available for me. So these are like on-demand services available at any time. You can enable them. And OCI is also providing easy migration tools for your applications like EBS, PeopleSoft, and so on. Like you can use the migration tools. It will make your life easy, simple to the DBAs. Like if you are trying to migrate an application, you have something like cloud managers, you have zero downtime migration tools for the database, which will help you to migrate the database from on-premise to OCI seamlessly. And OCI provides the best support for hybrid architectures. Like you can have something still running on your on-prem. And let's say maybe we have seen like some customers have their primary running on OCI and they have the DR running on their on-prem. And vice versa also have seen. And some customers, they have only using the OCI to keep the backups, and their database is still running on on-prem. So this is a multi-hybrid kind of architecture. Or someone has multiple clouds services also, like some DB is running on OCI and application is running on Azure or some other cloud provider. So OCI is supporting hybrid architecture as well. Now in this slide, you can see the global footprint of all those regions as of March 2023. Now, I think, as I said, it is more than 50 regions. Now, the region is like a geographical, physical location in that particular country. So there will be a data center on that particular location, and that is known as a region for us. Now, if you see in the US side, you have multiple regions. Like in America, you have Chicago, you have Phoenix, you have San Jose, you have Ashburn, you have Toronto. These are your regions in that particular location. And similarly, you have in UK region, you have Frankfurt, you have Amsterdam, London, and in Middle East, you have Dubai, you have Saudi, Israel, Abu Dhabi, you have a data center. So these are the actual data centers where you have the physical infrastructure with all the required servers and the cables, the port pools which you have to connect with each resources within the data center. And even in India, you have two regions. One is in Hyderabad and one is in your Mumbai. So there you have two data centers which host all these infrastructures. They also have some sovereign regions. Commercially, these are the standard regions, and wherever you see a Microsoft thing, you have a Microsoft region also, which is having an interconnect between the OCI region. So as a customer, now I think, let's say you have convinced, like you understood what is cloud computing is all about, and you are happy with the advantages, what you are getting if you migrate to OCI, like in terms of the cost you are saving, you are getting better performance for the better cost, I mean for the cost what you are paying on on-prem. Less than that, you are getting better performance. You have all the services required. And with all that, you are now seeing that I'm happy to migrate my workloads to OCI. Then how you will choose the region? So first thing is the region should be closest to your work location. So if you are choosing that, if you have a region in your country, so that is the closest thing what you want to go with. Like if your operations you are running in somewhere in Noida in India, so the closest one should be your Mumbai data center, not the Hyderabad. So in that way, you'll be selecting the closest region so that the users who are connecting to these resources will have highest performance with the lowest latency. So that's the first thing you will be ensuring. And before that, you also need to have in your country, there should be a region. And if you have some data in your systems which has some personal information, which we call it as PII data. Maybe in that case, if there are some regulatories which are not allowing you to move the data out of your country, like you have some data compliances or data residency policies, in that case, you need to also check with that part. Like if you are in Noida and you don't have any region in India, then there is no point of migrating, right? You cannot put your data in Middle East, Dubai or Abu Dhabi. And that will also increase the latency as well. And it will also have the data residency issues if you have some personal information data in your workloads. So that is also have to be taken care and taken account when you are migrating to the cloud, when how you choose a region. And finally, uh, the service which is required to run your workloads should be available in this region. Like if you are looking into the Mumbai region, and let's say you are looking to run some AI related services, generative AI service, which needs some large language models. And maybe that service is not still available in Mumbai as of now, then there is no point of moving to the cloud regions, right? So these kind of services, like the most required basic services, will be available across all the regions. Like I said, 80 plus services, on-demand services are available across all the regions. Like it can be the infrastructure, storage, the basic required things to run the show, like database services. But some additional services recently released may not be available. So that is something which will you need to look into it. So this is how you will be selecting the region. And once you are fine, you are ready to move to that region, you will understand what is there inside that. You need to understand what exactly is the architecture of that particular region. So every region in OCI has something called region is we have known that is the physical location in that particular country. And this region has one or more availability domains. So in that region, you have one or more ADs, which is known as availability domain. Now this availability domain currently in the new regions which OCI is starting, they are expanding their regions. So initially they are only having one ADs as of now, and they have a plan to expand this to multiple ADs. Now in India, we have two regions. These are two geographical areas, the local areas, like in that particular Mumbai, you have one data center which is having this known as one AD, availability domain. So in the same city, maybe in somewhere in uh, Andheri or somewhere in the Navi Mumbai, Andheri or somewhere in the old city, you have one data center, and in Navi Mumbai, which is like 30-40 kilometers away, you can imagine having another AD as well. So if they are coming up with a second AD, so they will create another AD in the same region, which is away from each AD, like 30-20 kilometers away from the primary AD. So in that way, they are planning to have multiple ADs in the same region. So as of now, in Mumbai, you have only one AD, and even in Hyderabad, you have one AD. Same thing goes with Dubai, Abu Dhabi, wherever you see the new regions coming up, like in Jeddah or in Riyadh. So these are the new regions. So they started coming with only single AD. But previously, like in Frankfurt, London, Ashburn, Phoenix, those regions, they already have multiple ADs, like in the same region, which is like as I said, 30-40 kilometers away from each data center. In the same location, they have multiple ADs. So availability domain is one or more fault tolerant isolated data center which is located within a region but connected to each other by a low latency and high bandwidth network. So this is something like to have the fault tolerant services. Like if something goes wrong with one AD in that region, the services which OCI is providing will still be available for the users from a different AD. So to ensure uh, the durability and the fault tolerant, they came up with this kind of architecture. Now, in this region in itself, you can have a primary running on one AD and you can have your DR running on the other AD. But if you don't have data compliance issues, maybe your DR you can go with a different region also. And then within each AD, what they have done is to ensure more fault tolerant option. They have kept FDs, so which is known as fault domains. So each AD will have 3 fault domains within itself. And these fault domains are nothing but grouping of hardware and infrastructure within the AD to provide anti-affinity. So that means they'll group the resources in such a way that if one hardware fails, it should not affect the other FD. In that way, you will be able to distribute the services and have the services running all the time. So availability domains are isolated from each other. They are in the same region. One or more ADs is what you see in each region. All the new regions, as I said, you are only having one ADs as of now. And it helps you for the fault tolerant, and very unlikely they will fail simultaneously, right? These are like, they are not sharing any physical infrastructure. They are away from each other. So they don't share anything like power or cooling or the internal availability domain network. So a failure that is impacting one AD is unlikely to impact the availability of other ADs. So in the multi-AD region, so if one AD is going down, you'll still see the other two ADs are up and running. And in case of a fault domain, each availability domain has 3 fault domains, and fault domains are acting as a logical data centers within this AD. And usage of multiple FDs will reduce correlation of failures within the AD. And these fault domains are placed in such a way that they don't share single point of hardware failure. So each fault domain is coming with uh, with its own physical server and physical rack. So they don't share the same physical server between the other FDs. So physical servers are isolated, physical racks, top rack of switch, and power distribution units are also isolated. So from each FD. So in that way, if one FD goes down in one of the ADs, then it will very unlikely to, you will see that a failure in other FDs as well. Now, if you have 2 node DB rack, so you can place each node in one FD. So DB node 1 will be on FD1 and node 2 can be on FD2 or FD3. In that way, if you have a rack database, even there is some outage in one of the FDs, you'll still have services up and running in other FD. So how we avoid single point of failures? If you are designing the architecture for migrating the resources to OCI, now you understood that, okay, what should be the region, and based on the availability of the regions, you are ready to migrate, and then you will be designing how you should avoid single point of failure when you're designing the architecture for your migrations. So here you can see in this region, they have multiple ADs. So they have placed all their primary in one AD into different FDs. So they have 2 node DB rack. So each DB, you can place them in different FDs. While you are provisioning, you will be getting that option. You can select accordingly. And then application nodes also, they have kept it in 2 different FDs. And using data guard, they have the DR in other AD, which is AD2, and they are replicating the database to 2 node rack on the second AD. Similarly, the applications also distributed in 2 FDs in the AD2. So in this way, if AD1 completely goes down, they can switch to their DR which is running in AD2, and still they can run their show. And within this AD, if one FD goes down, that can still be up and running with the FD2, the application and the database. So in this way, if you design your resources, the production resources especially, so you will be able to avoid single point of failure. So to give this benefits, OCI is coming up. OCI has come up with this kind of architecture inside the regions to have multiple FDs within the NAD and multiple ADs in a region. But in some regions, as of now, it's only with single AD, right? So in that case, you only have to rely with all domains. Currently, you will be putting the database into two different FDs, but you can have like the DR in a different region. Like we have customers in Middle East, like they have their primary running in Dubai region, and they have the standby, the DR running in the Abu Dhabi region. So where it is not going out of the country, so they're still fine with the data residency and data compliance policies. So you can plan in that way. Like you have Mumbai, you have Hyderabad. So primary can be in Mumbai and DR can be in Hyderabad. So in that way, you will avoid any single point of failure. Even if some disaster hits in that particular region, you will still have your data copy running safe and secure in some other region, which is within your country and your compliance policies. So OCI is offering these service models to the customer. One is the private cloud, which is customer is taking care on all the resources here on the left side. And then you have IaaS, which is infrastructure as a service. Now, this is the model which we are looking into our training session as well. As an OCI infra administrator, you are mostly working on the OCI IaaS model, which is known as infrastructure as a service. Now, as a provider, OCI, he's providing the customers the networking part on this availability domain, on the region, the servers, storage, and the virtualization on top of those servers. So this is taken care by the provider. And as a customer, you will be then creating the operating systems as you want on top of these VMs, and then you will have your own databases, data and applications running on top of them. So this is something which as a customer, you are taking care. So as an infra admin, OCI admin, you are now responsible to provision the required resources in that particular region which you have subscribed to. So you will be creating the VCNs, the network resources, and then you will be provisioning the infrastructure resources like the virtual machines or maybe the Excel databases or the database as a service, which comes under the platform as a service. So infrastructure as a service and platform as a service is something which we will be interested as an OCI administrator to understand, so that you can provision these resources and manage these resources going forward in the life cycle management. So you will be creating your own infrastructure and do the migration of the workloads from the on-premises to OCI, and then manage these resources going forward in OCI. The underlying infrastructure, like the storage or the servers, the physical server, is something which is taken care by the provider. But on top of that, like anything on the operating system patches, anything on the database related patches, security related CPU patches or PSUs, which periodically gets released, is something the OCI admin will be taking care. So these are the two models which we will be covering up in our training. And you have software as a service, which is SaaS model, where completely the vendor, the provider, the service provider is taking care on this fusion applications. It can be the HCM, CRM, or whatever it is, finance. So the core services, like the 80s plus services which we are talking about now, we said that each region has on-demand services available, and these are the basic services which are enough for you to run the show when you are looking to migrate your workloads from on-prem to OCI, or maybe it's a new implementation. It's up to your requirement, right? So these services are divided into 7 major categories. They are like core infrastructure services, and then you have database services, data and AI, analytics, governance and administration, developer and application services. Now this is the core, like the base foundation will be the core infrastructure. Without laying down this core infrastructure, you will not be able to build the database applications on top of that. And to support this infrastructure, you have the governance and administration in terms of checking who can access this infrastructure. That's the governance thing. And who can log into this tenancies is controlled from the governance. It's like a security so that you can come inside, lay down the infrastructure, and on top of that, you'll have the applications, analytics, database running. With the support of the developer service, you can automate the things. So you have developer services helping you to lay down the infrastructure and other automations as you want, or maybe uh, some kind of alerts, something you want to have that can be also taken care by the developer services. Now this core infrastructure and all these services, you can have it on the cloud regions. So that's the base. Your infrastructure is on cloud regions. It can be on clouded customer. You can also have hybrid cloud or multi-cloud. So these are the distributed services. So the base is the cloud region. In that particular region, they have all the hardware required, infrastructure setup done in the availability domains. And then on top of that, you are laying down the core infrastructure, which starts with creating the VCNs, creating the subnets, and then provisioning the infrastructure as per your requirements. Now, if you look into the core infrastructure here, you have compute services, you have containers like Kubernetes, and you have VMware services. So these are some of the application related services which you can use them to run the applications, like compute can be used for running the applications. You can have perform the calculations, execute logics by using the functions and the core infrastructure part. And under the core infrastructure, you will also get the storage where you can have multiple options in OCI, like you have object storage, block storage, and these storage will support your infrastructure whenever you have a compute services, which is your virtual machine, and something running on the virtual machine, they need also the storage, right, to install the services. So storage services will help you with that. And then you have the networking, which will be your VCNs, load balancers, and different gateways, which will help you to establish the communication between these resources which you are going to provision with your on-premises. So networking is the key thing here, which comes under the core infrastructure. Once you have built the core infrastructure, you can then start provisioning the databases. It can be your database services like autonomous database, or maybe the base database service, or XSE. So these are the services which OCI is offering to the customers according to their choice, according to the use case what they have. They will be selecting the required database, and maybe not within the Oracle database, maybe the third parties like NoSQL or MySQL database is also available as a database service. And then you have data AI services like messaging services, and you have AI services like generative AI or large language models, data science, digital assistants. These are the AI services. And you have the data services like big data. Golden Gate is also there. And governance side, as I said, this is protecting your all the resources which you are started provisioning in OCI in terms of who can log in, who has the access to log into uh, the tenancy, which is the identity and access management, along with the cloud operations, like you create the compartments, doing the cost analysis, like what is your overall cost, access to the console, security, enabling the security to all the services which you have provisioned in the resource in the OCI, in terms of enabling the cloud guard, having some vulnerability scanning services, have the key vaults and data safe for your database. So these are the services, like 80 plus services, which we are talking about in these slides, right? They are divided into 7 major categories. You have observability services to have monitoring for all those resources which you are provisioned in the OCI. And maybe you want to get the alerts, like if some CPU is performing poorly and you want to understand, like if it is the CPU is reaching more than 70, 80%, you can set some alerts and get those alerts with the observability and monitoring using the notification events. So this is coming under your governance and administration part. Some of the services are here. And then you have the developer services, like you can use the resource managers, Terraforms, Ansibles to automate the provisioning of all the resources what you want. And you can also have additional low code Apex and some other visual builders for your development part, like CI/CD pipeline or some kind of OKEs clusters. If you are using, you want OCI registries to be streamlined, you are pushing some kind of images, you can do that with the app developers. And on the top, you have analytics, BI analytics, and the applications like the SaaS applications, which is like your ERP, HCM, SCM, and so on. And you have app integrations like OIC, Oracle Integration Cloud Service. And then you have serverless functions, which you can run in the application side. So this is the top layer for your overall resources. So any questions so far?
No, sir.
Okay. So if we look into the distributed cloud services, now I said like you have public cloud, which is like more than 41 regions. So this is like 50 regions as of today. And you have sovereign regions, you have private cloud regions, and they also started something called as dedicated cloud regions, which is known as DRCC, dedicated region. And they also started Oracle Alloys, like these are like again uh, the third party provider is maintaining this infrastructure, and that is known as Oracle Alloy. It's like a dedicated regions in that particular country. And when you say dedicated region, so this is maybe if you have some government applications you want to migrate in that region. So government has the data has some other data policies. You cannot have it in a public cloud. In those scenarios, you can move the systems, you can move the workloads to a dedicated region that is completely dedicated for you, uh, provided by OCI and provisioned in your data center. And you have hybrid cloud, like you can have some resources running in public cloud and few resources like Exadata cloud at customer. You can have XSCC running in your data center and few other services from the public cloud. So that is a hybrid cloud. And in that you have roving edge infrastructure as well, which is a remote infrastructure, a pluggable kind of devices which you can uh, plug and play from anywhere you want. And then you have multi-cloud, as we have already discussed, you keep the database in OCI and applications in some other cloud provider. So OCI is supporting the distributed cloud services. You can have as any of those offerings, any of these options, you can go and have your workloads running on the OCI side. Now in the hybrid cloud, you see Clouded Customer is one of the options. You have VMware solutions, you have Exa Clouded Customer, you have Roaming Edge, and recently they have also released Compute Clouded Customer, which is C3. They call it as C3 Cloud Compute at Customer. So you can leverage one of the services according to your requirement, according to your business use case, and what workloads you are running, and what data compliances you have. And as we discussed DRCC, so DRCC, you see the customer's data center. You are giving the access to the Oracle operational personnel to set up the hardware to support. So they are giving the access, you are giving the access to them, and they are building the managed cloud racks in your data center and the physical access cage. So this is something which you can have it in your own region, which is known as dedicated region cloud at customer, so DRCC. So in your own data center of choice, and this is an air gap offering, meaning that this region can be fully disconnected from outside network, and customers can start small and they can scale all the way up to 450 plus racks very quickly. And you have multi-cloud as well. And multi-cloud in 2019, OCI has some agreements with Microsoft, and they came up with something called Azure Interconnect. And they have the data centers connected with this interconnect to enable fast access, so low latency and high performance, high network bandwidth, which you will be getting using these regions where you have multi-connect or interconnect available. And you can go with this kind of hybrid architecture, like having applications in one service provider and data in the different. So these are some of the regions where you have multi-connect or interconnect regions, which we call, which are already up and running. There are 12 Azure interconnect regions like San Jose and Phoenix. You have Toronto, Ashburn. Wherever you see this Microsoft logo, in that particular region, they have the interconnect also. So having an interconnect, you can have less than 2 milliseconds latency using this private interconnect. And there is no additional charges for the ingress and egress data, like incoming and outbound, inbound, outbound data charges are also not there if you have application running in different data center and database running in a different data center. So here the data centers, we are just calling it as a region. And within the region, we are saying you have availability domains. So going forward, you will be only hearing the ADs or the regions. So data centers are like the old way of calling them now. I think this Azure interconnect regions are also increased now, or they are working more towards increasing these. Wherever you see the new regions with the red box here, I think they are going to come up with the additional things as well. So OCI, Oracle has its Oracle Managed Service for Azure customers to provision, access, and operate Oracle database services in OCI with familiar Azure-like experience. So they can log into the Azure, and from Azure, they can provision the database in OCI. So from the Azure interface only, they will be able to provision the database resources. So Oracle Database Service for Azure portal, they can access it. So automated identity networking and monitoring integration will happen. Identity federation will happen automatically. You can view the metrics and events from the database page on OCI from the Azure interface itself. And you see the interconnect between Azure and the OCI. So interconnect private tunnel can be established if you have Azure Express route on Azure side and OCI Fast Connect on the OCI side. So which will give you less than 2 millisecond latency, and it will be a private tunnel with no additional cost for the data transfer between these two data centers or regions, what you call. So similar kind of agreements they have made in the recent times, in the last 6 months, they have done with the Google Cloud Provider, GCP. They have also done with the Amazon Web Services. And they have these uh, agreements like they can provision the database services in their Azure uh, data centers or Amazon or GCPs, so that they can have more customers, and customers can also have their DB services running for their applications, supporting the applications in the same regions. Okay, with that we come to an end on the introduction part. So any questions so far?
Excuse me, sir.
Yeah, Harsha, go on.
So, like I'm clear with this introduction part. So the only thing is, once we enroll into this course, so are we given access to this Oracle Cloud infrastructure to practice, or do we
No,
just have to sign for free trial?
yeah, you have to sign up for the free trial. So in the next session tomorrow, we will see how we will be signing up for the free trial. And I want you all to have your own trial accounts to be created, and you get your hands dirty in those accounts. Like we will be doing the demo session on every day when we are starting the session. We will be discussing, let's say, I'll be discussing about the compute VMs. And parallelly, I will also log into my account and we will be doing the provisioning thing. And later the day you have to do the demo part and do the lab exercises in your own tenancies.
Okay, so like, do we will we having enough free credits to practice?
Yeah. That I will explain in the next session tomorrow. So what
Okay.
we are getting in the free account, how you will be subscribing to the free account will be the next session, followed with the
Okay.
complete course content. So we will go in depth on the course content, what is exactly being covered in this next 6 weeks, and what will be the duration of the course. Everything we'll discuss in the next session tomorrow, along with the sign up thing.
Okay. And last thing, sir. So about this recording, so do we have access to this daily,
Yes.
or you will be sharing with us?
You will be getting these recordings daily. I think you will be getting some drive access where
Okay.
these recordings will be uploaded. Along with these recordings, you will be also getting all this PowerPoint presentation, which we are seeing in the daily sessions. And you have some lab exercise PDFs, which will be shared with you, and the notes which we will use in the daily demo sessions.
Okay. Got it, sir. Thank you.
Okay, so you will be OCI labs, you'll be getting all these labs, which will let you understand like step-by-step process what you have to do on your tenancies. This anyhow, you can do these labs parallelly when we progress with the sessions. Daily, we have some exercises which we will be doing on the sessions and the day-to-day sessions, which you can practice in your own tenancies after that. All right, so if there are no other questions, we'll catch up tomorrow at same time, and we will understand how you will create your own tenancies, your own accounts, free accounts, and then we'll discuss about the complete course content. What should be the duration of this? If you
Sir,
have,
one
yeah, any questions? Yeah.
so do we need to have any laptop, processing requirements for for this? Any particular RAM or graphics card, something like that?
No, not any particular requirement you have. So basic,
Sure.
yeah, will be enough, good enough. Because all the lab exercises, what you are doing is in the OCI tenancy. So the resources which you are provisioning, like the compute instances, like the Unix box, Linux box, will be in a different tenancy only. So there you have the RAM and CPU power in that. You don't need your high-end systems from your side. Basic regular system what you are using should be good enough.
Yeah. And also one more thing, do we need to have any, basic knowledge of Linux or something we need to learn before getting fully into OCI learning?
It will definitely give you an advantage if you have Linux knowledge as well. Because you are learning on the networking part, right? Something on the networking is also involved in the OCI side. But there is no hard rule that you have to have a Linux knowledge. Even without having Linux knowledge, you will still be able to manage the show
Okay.
with basic commands which you need. Right? Any other questions? Okay, then we'll catch up tomorrow. Have a nice day, guys. Thank you.
Thank you, sir.